Hello everyone and welcome back to Destiny. Destiny Rise of Iron. As you may know by now, this image was leaked earlier this week, and it appears to be a promotional poster for the supposed Destiny Fall expansion, purportedly titled Rise of Iron. And if you're anything like me, you've been kept up at night imagining all of the possibilities of what is going on in this image. Okay, maybe I'm not kept up at night, but I have been putting the Destiny detective skills that I've built up over the past few years to the test, trying to figure out as much about this image as possible. And as it turns out, the answers may be right in front of our faces. But before we dive in, please remember that everything I'm going to talk about in this video is running with the assumption that this image is legitimate and the next content expansion is in fact titled Rise of Iron, so take everything that I say with a pinch of salt. Now, when the Fall expansion was first announced, my first question was this expansion planned all along? If so, why did they put themselves in a media blackout that ended up hurting them in the press? Or was it in reaction to the fact that Destiny 2 needs to be delayed and they decided to create Rise of Iron this year to hold us over? After studying this poster a bit more and looking back over the past few years of Destiny, I have a pretty good theory of what I think is going on. But first, let's take a look at some of the clues that have led me to my theory. The first clue is in the title of this poster. The designers out there, or those with a keen eye, might recognize something about this title that they might not necessarily want to notice. If we take the Rise of Iron title and put it right next to the Dark Below and House of Wolves, you can see that they are in the same style. The subtitle is written in a bold Helvetica font, and all of them feature a diamond-shaped logo. The underline separating Destiny from the subtitle is even the same. This makes me think that it's in the vein of Year 1 expansions. The word expansion is missing, but I'm sure it's just to avoid confusion from the masses. Whether they call it expansion 1 or 3, it just wouldn't be a good idea at this point, especially with the stigma attached to the Year 1 expansions. Now if we take a look at the title for the Taken King, we can see it's much different. The font is different, and the logo underneath is much more defined, making it feel much more like its own game. So the fact that the Rise of Iron is going back to that Year 1 expansion look might be our first clue into what we might be getting this fall. Now for the next clue, let's quickly take a look at the terminology Bungie uses for their releases. Last year, the Dark Below and the House of Wolves were Expansion 1 and Expansion 2. Then, the Taken King was first called a major expansion. Then, in the later marketing pushes, they started to refer to it as its own game, and with the fact that there was more content in the Taken King than the original vanilla release, I'm inclined to agree with that. But the original words they used to describe it were a major expansion. Then, the April update was interestingly marketed as a patch update instead of an expansion, clearly cementing the fact that it was a live team effort. And now we have the Fall expansion, which Bungie has referred to as not a major expansion like the Taken King, but a large expansion. So what's a large expansion? I believe it's an expansion that is in the spirit of the Year 1 expansions, and that we're simply being assured that there will be much more content this time around than there was in the Dark Below or House of Wolves. And with the fact that the April update had pretty much the same amount of content as any one of those Year 1 expansions, I think we can rest assured that it will have much more content this time around. The final clue is simply that Destiny 2 was delayed until 2017. Unfortunately, there aren't many facts to support this, but if we look at the original contract with Activision, it shows a 2-year cycle between major sequels, and the Comet expansions, like the Taken King, fill the years in between. So, simply by the fact that we aren't getting a Destiny 2 in 2016 exactly 2 years after the original, it implies that it's probably delayed internally. Now, I personally hate hearing that something was delayed when it was never even announced in the first place, but I'm okay with it right now since it directly impacts my theory. So, what is my theory? What is going on with Destiny? Let me show you with a handy-dandy timeline. As you can see, in September of 2014, we have the launch of the original Destiny. In December, we have the launch of Expansion 1, The Dark Below. In May of 2015, we have the launch of Expansion 2, House of Wolves. Then in September, we have the launch of The Taken King. So far, everything lines up with what we know has been planned for the game. Now, my theory is that Rise of Iron was intended to essentially be Expansion 4. Now, where's Expansion 3? There was no need for one. At least I think that was their internal thinking. The Taken King had so many quests and missions, combined with the time-gated quests, raid challenge modes, and live events that would surely keep us engaged, alleviating the need for a winter DLC. allowing them to skip straight forward to a spring DLC, perhaps released in April. This would keep us playing the game until E3, where they would surely announce Destiny 2, and after a perhaps summer SRL event, we would get Destiny 2 in the fall, just in time for Year 3. But as we all know, that's not how it's going down. What I think we're getting is a delayed Rise of Iron and a delayed Destiny 2, pushing Rise of Iron to the fall and pushing Destiny 2 to 2017. That left us with an awkward vacuum, which was filled by the live team's crown achievement, the awesome April update, which we're all enjoying right now. Now, if this is true, why are they being delayed? I can understand the Destiny 2 delay, since it seems like Luke Smith was brought onto the team to make the game more awesome before launch. But why was Rise of Iron delayed? Unfortunately, we may never know. My best guess is that knowing that Destiny 2 would be pushed back, they continue to work on it to bolster the amount of content we're getting in that expansion. So what about Vex Void and Forge of the Gods, the supposed expansion 3 and 4 from the leaked presentation slide back in October of 2014? I personally believe that those two story arcs have since been moved over to Destiny 2 and will be greatly expanded upon in scale to serve as large or major expansions for Destiny 2. In short, I believe Rise of Iron will bring more content than the Year 1 expansions combined, but not quite as much content as The Taken King, which is fine because the rumored date for Destiny 2 is spring of 2017. However, if it ends up being fall of 2017, I sure hope that the Rise of Iron is seriously massive in scale, or they have more expansions planned for the first half of 2017. Anyways, what are your thoughts on the scale of Rise of Iron, and will it be enough to keep us occupied until Destiny 2's release? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Drop a like if you can, and subscribe for more Destiny content. And I will see you all next time.